Coach, not the weekend you wanted, but a split weekend. What do you take from Sunday's game and kind of apply to the rest of the season? You know, kind of being in those close games, those close moments. What was the conversation with the team like?
Yeah, I think Friday was really important for us to be able to win a close game. That was our first close game we've been able to come away successfully since our only other close game was Quincy. We've been very much blowout wins or blowout losses, and I think that kind of messes with your competitive abilities. So I think it was huge for us to have that competitive game. It also just says a lot for the GLIAC. I know we only have 5 teams and one of them's new, but at least the 4 of us that have been around for a long time are having these close competitive games. Davenport lost to us by 3 and lost to Concordia St. Paul by 2. And we had a really close game with Grand Valley, and CSP actually had a close half with Grand Valley too. So it's been really fun to watch our conference start to even out. That part makes it way more fun because we play each other a million times and we all know each other really well. So it's cool to see everyone be good. But the message coming out of this weekend is you got to take conference seriously and you got to play as hard as we did in Grand Valley for the whole year, for the whole game. And if we can make decisions a little bit better than we did at the end of that game, I do think that game goes our way. But we also were dealing with the best home court advantage you could possibly have. No elements in the dome. They just driven through, 2 feet of spring snow. So, but I do think there's a lot to learn from that game. It's frustrating to have lost 2 overtime games this year, but that's something with youth that decision making can be really hard in big moments, and it's something we've struggled with. But overall, just to have 2 really competitive games where we performed well, especially on the defensive side. I'd said, I kind of have always thought that to be able to beat Grand Valley, we need to hold them 12 or under. And we did that, we just didn't win. So I think that is kind of the mark where you need to be. We just need to be more efficient on offense. So figuring that out is going to be fun moving forward, but looking forward to more competitive conference play.
Kind of a historic weekend for one-year players. Maddie Bass gets that kind of a lifetime achievement as a defenseman, which I think is interesting. Can you talk about her and what she's done for the program, what she does every day on the,
Yeah, Maddie's awesome. Maddie Bass, so she's back to being a midfielder. She came in as a midfielder, and last year I asked the biggest thing of her, which is hey Maddie, can you play defense for us? Because that's the only way we're going to win this year is if we have the best defense around a scoring power like Minnie that we had last year. So she scored, I think, 2 goals last year after being our 2nd or 3rd leading scorer her previous 2 years, and for her to be able to come back this year and be a threat and be that support around our other 2 leading scorers. Our other 3 scorers are sophomores or freshmen, so to have some senior leadership there has been really big. Maddie has grown so much as a person. She's such a great leader and a good head now, and she's so much more mature than she came in, and she's one of those stories that she's one of my first recruits that I got to commit to come here, and now I've got 4 years of her, and to watch her become a full adult and go through our program and make an impact and change has been really, really cool. And she brings intense competitive leadership every day. She's a great defender, and she also just now can score the ball, which is great because we need it. We need some scoring this year. We knew it would be a problem, and in big moments we need some options other than Joe, because people are going to start to know about our number 1.
When you play a lot of young players, where does the line come in of, we got to correct them so they improve, but we also have to let them play so they get experience?
Yeah.
It's a tough line.
Yeah. Josie's been great because she luckily had Minnie as a role model last year. So she had this 5th-year senior that had been coached by me for 4 years, and Josie's really coachable and she listens well. Even though she's a sophomore, I think she's got a good head on her, and that's really helped us. What's been really fun is Hannah Jabas, who's a freshman, is just a really, really good lacrosse mind. So when she's making mistakes, you can coach her constantly, and she won't take it in a negative way. She'll just take the adjustments and kind of change, which has been really cool to see. And then we have a couple other freshmen that are playing all the time, but the most impactful one right now is Katie Wozni. She's number 10. She's the fastest human that I've ever seen, and she's a huge part of why we're winning the draw so much right now. And Katie's definitely one that we're choosing how we're coaching her, because I don't want to overcorrect things that she might be doing wrong because she's so fast it doesn't really matter. So there's some different things that we can steer her in different directions just to make this year super productive for her and maybe change some technical stuff down the line.
We've seen it multiple times this year from your defense of, running out the shot clock on a team. Is that the approach that you take, or is it offense first? Because it's been really impressive. 90 seconds on the shot clock and your defense is holding them and not allowing them to shoot. Is that kind of the identity that you're taking, or is it kind of mixed depending on the day?
So I am a defense person. So that is the identity that I want. Is we want to be stopping people, we want to be having full shot clocks, and we want to be causing turnovers and getting transitions. But I've never had an inefficient offense before, and I do think this year it's something we're struggling with. We are not scoring at a rate that we have in all of our previous years, and we have the capacity to, and we have kind of the bodies to, and this is kind of the thing that I was worried about moving into the season, is just how to use the pieces we have, because they're like smaller, more finesse players, and we need to figure out how to open up more space. We just seem to have no space on offense. So yes, we want to be this really, really strong defensive team, but if we can't score more than 11 points in a game, we're not going to win. So we need to be in the teens. Like, that's kind of the minimum of a lacrosse game that you can win. I know that we won against Davenport 9-6, but I mean, that was stressful. We need to be scoring way more than that. And we have the capacity to. We had some really poor shooting percentages against Davenport and some poor decision making. But that's something we need to adjust moving forward, is just creating more space so we can do more logical things on offense. Kind of feels like we're making things harder for ourselves than we need to be right now.
Last week we talked about how Davenport and Grand Valley State are really different teams. How do you throw St. Paul in the mix? How do they differ from those two? And what do you prepare for?
They're a little closer to Davenport, but they have really, really technically skilled offensive players. They're really good shooters. They're really feisty. And they're really good at getting to goal. So they're a team that averages a lot more assists than we do. They play a lot differently than we do. And when you play in St. Paul, there's a style of play that isn't allowed to happen with the in Michigan. And so we're going to see kind of a different style of game, which is more checking, less body contact, more body contact that's not called in different parts of the field. So part of playing Concordia St. Paul is recognizing that their game is different than ours and that we can't kind of give in to that type of game. We have to play hard, physical, spaced, composed the way that we do, and not kind of give in to chaos, which is what can happen when you play CSP. They have some really good juniors this year. Their best class is their junior class, and Susie Monson she's a leader in the GLIAC in assists right now, and she's like 1 or 2 in goals, so she's having a really great season. So, and she's second or third in draw controls, right around our Katie Wozni and Josie Lukowski. So we need to figure out how to get the ball away from Susie. So that's going to be a fun problem to solve. But they're physical like Davenport, but they do have the scoring capacity closer to Grand Valley. So it's going to be a fun combination, and they're aggressive. So it'll be fun.
Okay, I'm going to show my age. Surprise. When I graduated from high school, we didn't have a soccer team yet. I can't remember when lacrosse started, so my knowledge is not his knowledge, and Lord knows it'll never be your knowledge. What is the strategy to winning a face-off?
Yeah, so it's really different. So with I'm going to share my secrets, and they're going to be on our press conference. That's okay. That's probably pretty obvious at this point.
Or what does the person have to think about the other person to try and get an advantage to get the ball in the right direction?
Yeah, so there's 2 main different ways you could do it. So you either get a really tall person, and they're really, really technically skilled with really strong, really quick, strong wrists, and that person that's in the middle of the circle is the draw taker, and they're going to try to direct it straight up, and they're going to get it themselves. So they can either have a really high vertical or be 6 foot tall. You see it a lot at the Division I level. They'll have someone that's just their job. They're 6'2", they take the draw, they get the ball, they pass it, they run out. And it's just a part of the game. And so that's a strategy that you'll see sometimes, but you'll also see people instead, which is what we do more, is where you're directing the ball to your 2 circle players. So there's a bunch of different ways you can set your body up. There's a bunch of different ways you can have your hands, and it's about how quick your wrists are versus the other person, or how much power you have. The reason we lost the draw to UND a couple weeks ago is because their draw takers have quicker wrists than anyone that we've ever draw taken against. So every single time when the whistle goes, they were just winning that crank like right away because they didn't put any pressure into it. So you had no leverage to try to pop the ball away from them. It just every time was so much quicker than our freshmen or sophomores who had taken it. So part of that again is also experience, but they're very good at that. That's like their thing. And then what we do is you're directing it, and so Josie's really good out of the air. So if we can get Josie to her out in the air in a space that she's running to, usually Josie's going to get that all the time. Whereas Katie's 5'2", and Katie is a ground ball machine. So if you get the ball on the ground away from the center circle, usually Katie's going to be able to run onto it. So there's 2 strategies. We have 3 different draw takers right now. The one that's been taking it the most has been able to, she's the best communicator. So she's the one that's the best at telling those 2 what they're going to need to do and which direction they're going to need to go. And so she can always tell like, oh, I'm going to be able to get it in the air to Josie going right. And so when she does that, Josie can run onto it. Instead of if it's to Katie and she's going to open up this way and try to get it on the 50 on the ground, and then Katie's going to run onto it. So those are kind of the different strategies, are like get it to yourself, get it in the air, or get it on the ground. And we probably are about 50-50 air and ground, but we tend to do better when the ball is going outside of the circle instead of in the circle, because Josie's average height, but she's still only 5'7", and Katie's 5'2". So, and Evita, one of our draw takers, Peyton Ross is pretty tall, number 5. Taylor Roberts is pretty tall, but when we put her on the draw, it's for like a specific job to get it to space. And then Evita Wyke, who's number 24, has been taking it for us the most, is really small. So she can also direct it to herself, but on the ground, so that she can run into it. So that's kind of that's what we're doing. My assistant coach is really good at seeing body positioning, and Quinn will tell the draw taker where to move her hips, where to send the ball, which has been really cool because it is something that I know about, but it's not something that it's something that Quinn is great at. So that's been really cool to have her do, and we're right now statistically excellent at draws, so it's cool.
Okay, now I'm going to add to that one. This looks like hockey at times because it's like cycle, cycle, cycle. And what I mean that is they kind of rotate spinning around the corner, trying to get the puck to the right person, centering the puck in front of the net.
Yeah.
There does seem to be a lot of that in your sport. Is there a strategy to that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like in hockey and very few other sports, you can go behind the goal. So when you're doing that, you can create defense having to like full flip their hips from facing away from the goal to facing to the goal. And when you can get that reversal of them facing the goal to like a skip pass, it goes from, if you guys are the goal, back over here, you're going to get someone hopefully caught off guard, because your best attacking lanes or offensive lanes are still going to be kind of coming from each lane towards the goal here. But because we're doing what you're saying, which is like swinging the puck from side to side, that's what's going to displace your defense and set up someone's hips being faced the wrong way, so you can kind of bait that and then run against the way that they're shifting out to them.
I think if I read the headline correctly, seniors and winning were a kind of a common thread a bit over the weekend. Is that a way to look at it?
Yeah. We had three wins, and they were all by seniors, which is great. It's the way you want it to happen. But yeah, across the board, definitely some good results. Our upperclassmen have made some big moves in their careers, which is great.
I'm thinking because it's like it's April now, and outdoors in April and track is weird for us. It isn't for most of the country, but I guess to me that makes sense that the seniors are figuring it out faster because they've had more chances to figure it out at this point. And
Yeah.
I would think that's kind of how to get the team propelled and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely positive for the whole team to just see what, their hard work, what it does and what they can do as they move on in their career. And it wasn't great weather. I mean, it was warmer than here. I mean, it was like 60, but it was rainy and windy, high winds, so challenging conditions. But yeah, definitely the upperclassmen did well. And I mean, across the board, we had some great performances. Finished second as a team tied for second out of like 14 teams, and most of them were Division I teams. So I think our depth across all of the events, our ability to have top athletes in all of the different events was definitely helped us out.
Have you kind of figured out at this point the strengths of certain events and trying to build up some other ones that you think you can build up to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're a little bit short on short sprinters, but across, our field event athletes are doing really well, and I think, that's where we can keep building. That's where you can score some points for sure, especially in our conference. Our conference is really strong in everything, but the distance events especially, they're strong in. But we had a few freshmen try the steeplechase, which was, the first chance to even jump in a water pit. So that was exciting. One did really well, and along with the kids that are returning. So, but our field event team did great. They did really well. Scored some points, and then mid distance too did well. And of course the hurdlers, Crystal actually hit the provisional mark. Just under the provisional mark, and that's her first 100-meter hurdle race of the year. So, looking good for her for the season. Elise wasn't there because she has a going on in her future. So there's something she had to be at this weekend, but she'll be there, from here on out. And those two definitely have a shot at qualifying for the national championships this year. They're looking good. And then, yeah, I mean, everybody did well.
Does that kind of provide even more excitement for the rest of the season, knowing that conditions weren't, really what you wanted them to be on race day, and you still had this amount of success from your team, and you will have more moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's, definitely the conditions were not ideal, and but having the great performances in those conditions, makes a huge difference, and their confidence in going forward. So this weekend sounds like less wind, a little bit cooler, but so that'll help with the less wind. But yeah, that definitely builds confidence for these next meets coming up, and as the weather hopefully keeps getting better in the next meets, definitely should, times will drop and performances will get even better. So to start off that strong is actually, I'm super happy with where we're at right now.
When it comes to putting your team together, how much do you think about Grand Valley and try to do things that Grand Valley can't do? Which is not much, I know.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I mean, we do look at year to year, and every year we look at where they're at, what events they're a little weaker at in the conference, and that's where we try to, build up in and recruit in those areas, so that we can score those points in some of those areas, and then can continue to develop the athletes that are in the events that they are strong in. Like, for instance, pole vault in the past, he's had like 7 pole vaulters go to the national championships, and now he has like 2 or 3 pretty good ones, but our pole vaulters are moving into, scoring points at the conference, which we never did before. So yeah, definitely recruiting to the weaker spots, but then also just continuing to develop the athletes that we do have, and hopefully by the time they're seniors, they're moving up into some of those top spots and competing against the Grand Valley group.
Because sometimes I think the conference meet should be everybody against Grand Valley.
Yeah, it really
that actually
should.
Might be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it gets kind of old just watching them get all the awards and and then score more than double the points of everybody. I mean, even if you add up all our points, I think, like you said, and it would be close.
Good.
Oh, what's next?
We're heading to Oakland University for the Golden Grizzly, so that'll be a good competitive meet. And Wayne State will be, it's more of our conference team, so Wayne State and Saginaw Valley. So we'll get to see some of the other conference teams in this meet, which will be great. It's just a one-day meet, so all day on Saturday. And then after that, we head to Oshkosh for a one-day. Well, the multis will get a chance to compete in the heptathlon in that one. And then after that, we are bringing a group to California, so the weather hopefully should be better there.
Well, okay, since you said the word, what, in terms of recruiting, what do you look for in a multi?
Yeah, kind of, usually they're good at a couple of events, but maybe not the very top, but then they've had experience in all the different events. There's a few usually that they don't have, haven't done a few of the events, but I have some great coaches that then will teach them some of the, the different events that they haven't experienced. Because some in high school, like they don't have the javelin in a lot of places, and so we'll teach them some of that. But yeah, definitely an athlete that's a good athletic all around, maybe pretty high level in a couple of events, and then solid in other events. And then we have just made some athletes, that look like they're doing pretty well in practice and a lot of things, and turn them into a multi, kind of teach them a lot of the different events. So a couple of our triple jumpers too, our two best triple jumpers right now never even did the triple jump until this year. Coach Delman taught them the triple jump, and now they're two of the top in the conference.
Are they both from Michigan?
I know one's from Canada, one's from Michigan.
Okay.